Super Rugby AU, the Friday game. It's got the Waratahs and the Rebels. I think it's safe to say this is two teams who'll be pretty gutted with the way their most recent results went. The Rebels was a bit more in the past, seeing as they were on the bye last week, but they are back after their bye. But the way that if they still got a draw against the Reds, who are top of the log in the AU league. But yeah, they had the winning of that game, the Rebels, and they somehow managed to only end up with a draw. That's one of those draws that feels like a loss. Whereas the Tars, maybe it's fresher, and it ended up as a loss against the Brumbies. They really had the winning of that game, and couldn't hold out. So pretty heart wrenching if you're a Tars fan to let that game go. But it is what it is. At least the Tars have a win under the belt, although they have played one more game. One draw and one loss for the Rebels, a win and two losses for the Tars. So both these teams need to make hay, because the Brumbies and the Reds will only look to extend that lead if these guys don't start to catch up. So it's a bit of an important one for both these sides. You don't want to be that side that's left out. They did play each other before lockdown. It was a Rebels home match, 24 points to 10. Pretty comfortable win. But that's way back in February, which right now feels pretty much like ancient history, because a lot has changed in that time. So I'm not sure that it will have that much bearing on the way this game goes. In terms of the lineups, the Tars starting 15 to me looks the same as last week. Robertson, Horton and Holmes is the front row. Robertson was good value when he came back for his first game of the AU season last week, so it's good to see him still there. Hannigan and Simmons were actually remarkably impressive, even though those are, I say it all the time, guys that get given a lot of stick for underperforming. Simmons especially, I thought was a really good operator, so I hope to see more of the same. Hard tackling, good line-out work. That's what you want from Rob Simmons, because he's not going to be... I don't think he's going to be much more than that, but if he can do those kind of core jobs well, then I will not have any criticisms of him. The back row is Swinton, Hooper, and Dempsey. So plenty of tackling there as well. Short and Harrison are in the halves, and Harrison, I think, has been pretty good value. The kind of battle between him and Lolosio for who is maybe the rising star at 10 for the Australian teams is going to be lopsided now that Lolosio, I think, is out for like 8 weeks with a hamstring injury. So Harrison has got a real chance to impress Dave Rennie. At least be good to get him in the picture, maybe, because he's been pretty solid. The midfielders Hunt and Walton. Outside backs Newsom, Ram, and Maddox. And Maddox is another one who I think has kind of stepped up his game since we've got into the AU season. Still had a few handling errors, which is obviously not ideal, but maybe needs to work under the high ball a wee bit more, but certainly got some promise and has been pretty threatening on attack and improved on defense. The Rebels have rotated a little bit. Some of the guys who started are now benched and vice versa. So it's Orr, Ulisi, and Fa'amusili in the front row, and Orr, I think, steps up from the bench from last week. Hosea and Hosea and Phillip are in the second row. Kemmeny's in the back row. It was Stolberg that started the first two games for the Rebels, and he was really good for the Sunwolves. But something about his time at the Rebels has been kind of underwhelming. I'm not quite sure if he's just not able to get into their system, or they're not playing a game that suits him. But yeah, so he is benched for this one. Kemeny, Hardwick, and Wells have been steady in the back row, and they continue on. I think Hardwick's probably been my pick of the Rebels back rows thus far. Even though I am a bit of a Michael Wells fan, I don't see him quite at the same level as when he used to play for the Tars, but we will see how he goes in this one against his old club. Lawrence and Tamua, same 19 combo. Meeks and Hodge. There's a change in the midfield because Hodge was riding the pine last week, so he is getting a start. It was Campbell Magnay who was in the 13 jumper last week, and he is not in the match day 23, so he's one of the big changes. Korobidi Callaway and Dane Hilapeti round out the starting 15. Interestingly, the Rebels have once again gone for the 6-2 split on the bench, so it's just Lamani and Deegan there covering the backs. Leota, Hangana, Stolberg, Ainsley, Gibbon, and Ma'afu round out the forwards. So, yeah, like I mentioned, a bit of rotation for the Rebels. How's this one going to go? I think for Super Brew, I'm probably going to be going with the Tars. But you never know. The Rebels have had a week off. They've had a time to get things sorted. As I said, they've not really hit their straps thus far in Super Rugby AU. And I think the Waratahs, in terms of improvement from pre-lockdown to post-lockdown, the Waratahs have actually looked a better side. So, yeah, I'm hoping that improvement continues for the Waratahs. Maybe a little bit that is the mentality to be able to hold on to a lead. But we will see. Interestingly, the bookies have pretty much got this one at evens, at least here in New Zealand. There's not much. I think it's half a point maybe to the Rebels, so it's pretty much at evens. And Rugby Forecast algorithm has got the Rebels by 6 points, so maybe that's partly on kind of this kind of form. But anyway, it should be an interesting one to watch. Who are you guys picking for this one? Do you think the Rebels are going to finally click and get their act together, get a win on the board? Or do you think the Waratahs and their young side will kind of continue tracking in the right direction and be able to get the job done at home? It'll be interesting to see how many games they can continue playing in New South Wales. Like, I don't follow the COVID thing every single day, but the news here seems to be reporting a few cases in New South Wales going on. So I know Victoria is pretty much already out of the question with their rates of increase, and these guys playing for the Rebels will also have that on the road factor for their whole Super Rugby AU season, so that might affect them as well. But yeah, either way, this one's at the SCG, and hopefully everybody is safe who's in attendance, and yeah, hopefully we can continue to have games in New South Wales. Otherwise, they're going to be scrambling where these guys are going to play. I would hate to see the competition called off if it gets out of hand, but obviously safety is paramount. So yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on this one, and I should be live streaming it on Friday if you guys want to watch, not the game, but watch the game alongside me. It should be a bit of fun. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.